The colony ship Aurora's Promise drifted in silence through the cold ocean of stars. Its long silver body glowed faintly under the strange radiance of the alien star ahead. No ordinary star, the scientists had said. Its light bent at angles that made no sense, casting colors the human eye could not name. Every time the crew gazed too long, they swore shadows moved inside the brilliance, as if something alive lurked within the light itself. Protocol dictated they keep distance, yet for 3 months the ship had been forced into orbit, caught in a gravity while they could not escape. Life aboard had become a cage of whispers and unease. Food was rationed, power carefully measured, but a secret far greater than hunger had been carried in one woman's trembling hands. Mara Elin, a botanist turned reluctant settler, had hidden her swelling belly beneath loose uniforms and dim corridors. Births during deep space voyages were forbidden. The risks were too many: radiation, unknown starfields, genetic instability. The law was iron. No child shall be born between stars. But Mara had chosen defiance. She could not end the life inside her, not when she had felt its kicks, its restless heartbeat beneath her ribs. She had hidden, lied, and prayed the ship's med scanners would not betray her. And on the 146th day, trapped in orbit of the alien sun, her time came. In a cramped maintenance bay near the water recycling tanks, with only one trusted friend beside her, Mara screamed into a rag pressed tight to her lips. The engines groaned through the hull like the heartbeat of some great beast, and then, over that endless hum, a smaller sound cut through. A cry, sharp and startling, echoed against the steel walls. It was the cry of a newborn. For a moment, Mara forgot fear. She held the tiny body to her chest, trembling with disbelief. The child's skin glowed faintly, as though the unnatural star itself had marked her. Her eyes, though barely open, shimmered with reflections no human iris should hold. Mara gasped, clutching the girl close, her tears wetting the child's fragile hair. But ships carry no secrets for long. Within hours the whispers spread faster than fire. The botanist had given birth. The child was alive, and some claimed the cry had not just echoed through steel, but through the comms, carried into the ears of every crew member like a call none could ignore. By the second day, the mess hall was alive with arguments. Some said the baby was cursed, poisoned by the alien star. Others whispered the opposite, that this was no curse but a sign, a child chosen by the light itself. Engineers claimed the ship's failing power cells had flickered back to life at the moment of her birth. A navigator swore the navigation array had stopped glitching when the infant was near. Captain Arlen tried to crush the rumors. He was a man of Earth's old discipline, scarred by decades of service. He summoned Mara to his private quarters, his eyes cold as steel. "Do you understand what you've done?" he asked, voice low, steady. "You have broken the most sacred law of space-faring humanity. No births between stars. Do you want to doom us all?" Mara, exhausted, clutching the bundle close, met his gaze. "She is alive. That is all that matters." Arlen's fist slammed against the desk, but his voice cracked with something that sounded like fear. "Alive? Or something else? You don't see it, do you? She was born under that light. Do you even know what she is?" Mara said nothing. She only rocked her child, who did not cry now but stared up at the captain with unblinking, luminous eyes. For a heartbeat, Arlen faltered, his words choking off. He turned away sharply, dismissing her. But the seed of doubt was planted. That night, in the dark corridors, Mara heard the crew whisper as she passed. "Starborn, light-marked, savior, monster." Words followed her, heavy as chains. Some avoided her gaze. Others reached out in quiet awe to brush the child's blanket, as if touching her would bring luck. Then came the first sign. A system's failure struck hydroponics, threatening their food supply. Engineers scrambled for hours, unable to stop the rapid drop in oxygen production. Desperate, Mara carried the child into the greenhouses, cradling her among the rows of withering plants. As she stood there, the baby's tiny hands stretched upward, and the overhead lights flickered back to life. Slowly, impossibly, the plan steadied. The engineers watched, stunned into silence. One whispered, "The ship listens to her." Another muttered, "No, not the ship, the light." By morning, the rumors had become something larger than fear. Some began to worship, calling the child Aurora, after the ship and the star. They said she was the first hope humanity had in this cursed orbit. Others demanded she be removed, jettisoned before the aliens whose star this was came to claim her. Mara held her tighter. She had thought she had given birth to a daughter. Instead, she had unleashed a storm that could break them all. And in the silent void outside the hull, the alien star pulsed brighter, as if answering the cry of the first baby born in its light. The weeks passed in the shadow of the alien star, and the baby grew. What should have been fragile months filled with worry over sickness or malnutrition instead became something else entirely. The child, named Aurora by whispers more than by Mara's voice, seemed to thrive in a way no infant should. Her skin held a faint luminescence, as if the strange star's glow lived within her veins. She did not wail endlessly like ship-born infants of the past. She was calm, watchful, her eyes bright with a knowing that unsettled even the hardest crew members. And with her came the changes. Systems that had been failing for months seemed to steady when she was nearby. Engines that had groaned endlessly dropped into a quiet hum. The water recyclers, long unstable, balanced their flow when her cradle was set near. Once, when a hull fracture warning screamed across the comms, the engineers swore the breach sealed itself as Mara carried her child past the bulkhead. To some, these were miracles. "She is chosen," they whispered in mess halls and sleeping quarters. "The firstborn under the light, sent to guide us." Crew members who had once mocked Mara now left small offerings outside her door. Scraps of cloth, tokens from Earth, broken trinkets given reverence. But others were not blinded by awe. "She's no savior," Engineer Corvin growled, shaking a grease-stained fist during one heated argument. "The ship responds because it's being corrupted. She's an anomaly, not a miracle." His words carried weight with the practical-minded, those who still trusted Earth's laws. They remembered the old warnings about cosmic radiation, mutations, children born deformed among the stars. They feared not hope, but what lived beneath it. Division deepened. The mess hall became a place of hushed tones and eyes cast over shoulders. Fights broke out, short and bitter, between those who called her a blessing and those who called her a curse. Captain Arlen tried to hold order with sharp commands and heavy penalties, but the whispers were louder than his orders. Mara walked the corridors with her child pressed close, her head high, though her stomach twisted with fear. Every look she received cut in two ways, either filled with desperate hope or burning with suspicion. She had thought birth would bring her daughter. Instead, it had birthed a battleground. Then came a message. It arrived without warning, encrypted through Earth's old military channels. Arlen read it in silence in his private quarters, his face gray in the pale glow of the console. Words appeared like knives. "Terminate the child immediately. For the safety of the mission, for the safety of humanity." This is not a request. His hands trembled. He had served Earth his entire life, obeyed orders without question. But as the words echoed in his skull, he thought of the night he had seen the baby's eyes, unblinking and luminous, staring into him as if she knew his very thoughts. That memory haunted him still. He called the senior officers together, locking the doors tight. The council chamber filled with tension. Mara was not there, though her name hung heavy in the air. Arlen spoke the words he wished he could swallow. "Earth has ordered us to dispose of child." Gasps cut the silence. Lieutenant Vin slammed his hand against the table. "Dispose? They want us to murder her." Corvin leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "At last, Earth understands. She's a threat. Every system stabilizing near her. Don't you see? That's not human. That's not natural." But others resisted. Communications Officer Lyra shook her head, tears in her eyes. "She's just a baby. She hasn't harmed anyone." "She hasn't yet," Corvin snapped back. "But what if she grows? What if she controls the ship, controls us?" The argument spiraled, voices rising until the chamber seemed ready to explode. Arlen banged the table with his fist until silence returned. His voice was gravel. The order stands, but I will not enforce it by my hand. If any of you wish to obey Earth's command, then do so yourselves. When the meeting ended, alliances shifted like tectonic plates. Some officers prepared in secret to follow the order, while others slipped away to warn Mara. That night, Mara sat in the maintenance bay that had become her hidden refuge, rocking Aurora in the glow of a single lamp. Loyalists stood watch at the doors, Lyra, Vin, and two others who had sworn to protect her. They knew the danger. They had seen the hunger in the eyes of those who whispered murder. Mara whispered to her child, "They don't understand. You are more than they fear. You're what they need." Aurora's small hand reached upward, touching Mara's cheek with a warmth that made her heart ache. Outside, the star pulsed once, a slow throb that made the hull groan. Lights flickered, and for an instant, the ship's systems whispered across the comms. Sounds no one could explain, almost like a lullaby sung in the alien tongue of the star itself. In that moment, every crew member, whether loyal, fearful, or hateful, felt the same chill. The child was changing the ship, and perhaps even them. And in the deepest silence, while the crew argued and divided, the words from Earth lingered like poison. Terminate the child. The day began with a silence that felt wrong. No alarms, no hum of failing systems, no rattling vents. The Aurora's promise floated like a ghost in the alien star's orbit, its crew restless after another night of divided whispers. Mara had woken with Aurora pressed against her chest, the baby's warmth soothing even as the world around her fractured. She almost believed, for a fleeting moment, that calm had returned. Then the signal came. It wasn't like any transmission they had intercepted before. The comms system screamed alive with a crackle that rattled the eardrums. Lights flickered across the control panels as though the ship itself flinched. The crew gathered in the command deck, fear already etched on their faces. The sound grew into words, harsh, distorted, yet unmistakably shaped into human comprehension. A voice, deep and layered, vibrated through the walls. "We have waited long. The first human child born in the light has come. She is ours." The bridge fell into stunned silence. Captain Arlen, pale as death, gripped the console. "Identify yourself," he barked, though his voice cracked at the edges. "This is an Earth colony ship. Who speaks?" The answer was a chorus, as if many voices spoke as one. "We are the guardians of the light. We kept the path hidden until now. The child is not yours. She belongs to the star." Mara, clutching Aurora, felt her heart stop. The baby stirred in her arms, not crying but staring wide-eyed at the speakers, as if she recognized the voices. Around her, crew members stepped back, their faces twisting with terror. "Belongs to them," Corvin snarled, his voice shaking with equal parts rage and fear. "You see, she's never been one of us. Even they claim her." But others shout him down. "No, they want to take her because she's ours. Because she's human." The bridge erupted in chaos, voices colliding in panic. Captain Arlen silenced them with a roar, his hand slamming down on the console. "Enough." He turned back to the signal. "We will not surrender any human to your kind. Whatever you are, you have no claim." For the first time, the alien voices laughed. It was not a sound meant for human ears. Too many tones layered, too sharp, too deep. Crew members covered their ears, some dropping to their knees. "Defiance. So like your ancestors. Yet you do not understand. She was not born only of you. The light chose her. She is the key to what you lost." "What do you mean?" Arlen demanded, though his voice trembled. The answer was not words, but a countdown. A deep, rhythmic pulse filled the ship, displayed in numbers across every screen. 10, 11, 12. "They're counting down," someone screamed. Mara tightened her hold on Aurora, pressing the baby against her chest. Panic swallowed the bridge. Some ran for weapons, others shouted for surrender. The numbers burned brighter on every screen. 7, 8, 9. "Captain, what do we do?" Lyra cried, tears streaking her face. Arlen's lips tightened. He stared at the child, who now stared back at him. And then the visions began. Crew members gasped, some collapsing, clutching their heads. Images surged behind their eyes. Flashes of time before history, when Earth was young. Great ships of light, not human, soaring across skies. Humans standing in their shadows, reaching upward, touched by brilliance that was not their own. And then fire, war, silence. Mara saw it too. She saw humans scattered among the stars, their memories buried, their destiny broken. And the star they now orbited pulsed like a heart, its light whispering, return, evolve, become more. Aurora's eyes glowed brighter, silver-gold reflections of the star. Her tiny hand reached out, and for a moment the countdown froze on every screen. The numbers hung still. The alien voice returned, harsher, angrier. You cannot resist forever. The child must be ours. Surrender or be destroyed. The crew was undone. Some shouted to give her up. She's not worth the ship. We'll all die for her. Others raised weapons, swearing they would defend her even against the captain if he chose otherwise. Arlen stood unmoving, torn between the order from Earth and the demand from the aliens, each commanding the same outcome in different words. His gaze shifted to Mara, to the fragile infant who seemed to hold the fate of them all. The countdown resumed. 4, 5, 6. Mara whispered into her daughter's ear, trembling. You are human. You are mine. They will not take you. Aurora blinked once, and the lights of the bridge flared so brightly that everyone shielded their eyes. The ship itself seemed to roar, engines shaking, metal groaning like a beast awakening from a long sleep. And then, impossibly, the countdown stopped at 1. The alien voice hissed. She awakens. This is not your battle to fight. When the light claims her, nothing you do will matter. The transmission cut. Silence flooded the bridge, broken only by heavy breaths and pounding hearts. The crew stared at one another, shaken to their cores. The enemy had spoken. The child was claimed, and the clock was still ticking, though none could see it now. The star loomed impossibly close, its furious glow painting the ship's hull in molten light. Instruments screamed warnings as if the vessel itself knew it wasn't built to survive here. Gravity twisted in pulses, time stretched and snapped back, minutes and hours losing meaning. Crew members stumbled through corridors as if their own memories were betraying them. One moment they were here, another moment they swore they were children again, staring up at Earth's sky, hearing voices long dead. Whispers slithered through the comms, not alien, not human, something older. In the middle of it all, the baby lay in Myra's arms, eyes open and unblinking, glowing faintly as though reflecting the star itself. Every time the light flickered across his skin, crew members felt it, visions tearing into their minds. A glimpse of Earth's past. Scientists in crowded labs, desperate, frantic, scribbling equations that spoke of a prophecy, a genetic leap that would save humanity if they reached the right star. Words echoed in the visions. Children born here would not be children at all, but beginnings. The crew realized it then. The baby wasn't just a child. He was resistance made flesh. In his blood, under the microscope, cells shimmered in ways that broke biology, bending signals, resisting external commands. The aliens' whispers grew louder, urgent, furious. They had known. They had waited for this birth because they feared it. And now the crew understood why. Humanity had something they could never control. But just as hope sparked in that revelation, chaos struck. In the dark belly of the ship, footsteps echoed too fast, too purposeful. The alarms tripped, not from the star's pull, but from sabotage. A sealed hatch opened where it should not have, and in that silence, betrayal revealed itself. One of their own, someone who had smiled, fought, bled beside them, now carried the child in shaking arms, moving toward the hangar where an alien shuttle pulsed with waiting light. His voice cracked as he whispered into the comms. You don't understand. They promised me. They promised us survival. The child doesn't belong to us. He belongs to them. The crew broke into shouts, weapons drawn, but the ship itself groaned, pulled deeper into the star's impossible orbit. Hull plates bent. Systems flickered. The betrayer's path twisted through collapsing corridors as the baby wailed for the first time. And with that cry, bulkheads shattered like glass. The sound wasn't just a sound. It was power. It was history answering itself. And in the fractured silence that followed, only one truth burned through the chaos. If the child was taken now, humanity's last chance would vanish forever. The traitor reached the hangar doors, the alien light spilling across his face, and the ship lurched violently, tearing gravity apart. The baby's glowing eyes locked onto his, and for the first time, he hesitated. Then the hangar doors began to open. The hangar filled with a deafening roar as the doors peeled open, the cold shimmer of alien light clawing inside. The betrayer stood on the threshold, torn between promises whispered into his mind and the baby's unyielding gaze burning through his soul. Behind him, Mira staggered forward, blood streaking her face, clutching a pistol with trembling hands. Loyalists followed, some limping, some already wounded, but all with the same determination etched into their eyes. This was no longer just survival. This was a decision that would decide if humanity's story ended here or ignited into something new. The aliens pressed harder now, their voices pouring through the comms, weaving temptation and terror into every syllable. Give us the child, and you will live. Resist, and you will burn with your dying star. The ship groaned, metal straining under gravitational warps, sparks raining from torn conduits as if the vessel itself was bleeding. The crew knew it wouldn't hold much longer. Myra's voice cut through the chaos, raw and defiant. This child is ours. Humanity's, not yours. Her words struck something deep, not just in her crew, but in the betrayer, whose hand shook violently now. He faltered, and in that heartbeat of hesitation, the loyalists surged forward, tackling him, ripping the child back into Myra's arms. Gunfire thundered, ricocheting through the hangar as the aliens breached. Shadows twisted into physical form, beings of impossible geometry and blazing eyes, stepping across the threshold as if they owned the air itself. The final battle was chaos incarnate. Blades of energy clashed against steel and fire, human grit against alien precision. Crew members fell one by one, screams cut short, but each bought another second for Mira to reach the command deck. The ship buckled under her feet, tilting toward the star's devouring pull. The aliens advanced relentlessly, their voices screaming in unison now. The light is ours. The child is ours. Then the moment came. Mira, cornered at the center of the collapsing ship, clutched her child close. The baby's eyes opened wide, glowing brighter than ever before, reflecting the fury of the star itself. A soundless pulse rippled out, a burst of pure light that wasn't heat, wasn't radiation, it was defiance. It swept through the ship like a living wave, piercing the alien fleet waiting beyond. On the view screens, their ships froze mid-maneuver, convulsed, then fell silent, powerless. The alien figures in the hangar staggered, screamed without voices, and dissolved into nothing. The crew stood in stunned silence, bloodied, broken, but alive. Around them, the star's pull eased, as if even it acknowledged what had just been born within its light. Mira cradled the child, tears streaming down her face, not of fear, but of awe. Humanity's destiny was not to fade into memory or submission. It was to evolve, to become something that no empire could ever change. The comms, once filled with threats, now carried nothing but static. Beyond the hull, the alien fleet was gone. The star burned steady, calm, no longer tearing them apart. For the first time since their journey began, silence filled the ship. Not despairing silence, but a silence of survival, of dawn. The child had saved them. The first human born in the light.